Hey there guys, this is Richard, your host. Welcome to the ultimate retro gaming odyssey, where we rewind time and plunge into the pixelated universe of the Game Boy Advance. Imagine a realm where every beep and bloop tells a story, where every sprite is a character in its own epic tale. In this special feature, titled Top 50 Game Boy Advance Games, we're not just revisiting games, we're reliving legends. From the vampire-infested castles of Castlevania to the interstellar adventures of Metroid, each game is a unique gem, a piece of history etched in the annals of gaming. We'll soar with Mario, strategize with Advance Wars, and unravel mysteries with The Legend of Zelda. Whether you're a die-hard fan or a curious newcomer, prepare to be enthralled by tales of heroism, adventure, and the pure joy of gaming. So, grab your consoles and join us on this pixel-powered journey through the best that the Game Boy Advance has to offer. Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, 2003. Starting strong with Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. This gem from 2003 was cooked up by the folks at Konami. The mastermind behind it, Koji Igarashi, a legend in the Castlevania universe. Let's talk about the plot now. Fast forward to 2035 and we're not in your grandpa's Castlevania anymore. We've got some Soma Cruz, a regular teen who might just be Dracula's heir. He's wandering through Dracula's castle, meeting a bunch of characters tied up in this prophecy about Dracula's return. It's like a gothic soap opera, but with more vampires. Now, coming to the gameplay. Here's where it gets good. Classic side-scrolling action, but with RPG elements that let you level up and boost your stats. The showstopper is the tactical soul system. Think Pokemon, but with monster souls that give you new powers. It's a game changer and makes every battle a strategy session. Overall, this game is a blast. It's got that old-school Castlevania feel, but feels fresh with the soul system. Every corner of Dracula's castle is packed with secrets and challenges. Plus, the mix of weapons and souls means you've got a ton of ways to play. It's a gothic playground that keeps you hooked from start to finish. Metroid Zero Mission, 2004. Next up is Metroid Zero Mission, which was developed by Nintendo R&D 1 and released in 2004. This game is a slick remake of the original 1986 Metroid. Yoshio Sakamoto, a big name in the Metroid world, led the project. They wanted to give new fans a taste of classic Metroid while adding enough new stuff to keep it fresh. The story is all about Samus Aran, the galaxy's coolest bounty hunter heading to planet Zebes. She's on a mission to stop the space pirates who are messing around with Metroids, these nasty creatures that can drain life energy. Samus battles through the planet, taking down big baddies like Kraid and Ridley, and eventually Mother Brain. But there's a twist. Her ship crashes and she has to sneak around in her Zero suit to get off the planet. Gameplay-wise, you're exploring Zebes, finding power-ups to unlock new areas. Classic Metroid stuff. But they've thrown in new items, areas and mini-bosses to keep you on your toes. There's this cool part where you play as Samus without her power suit, which totally changes the game's feel. Plus, beating the game unlocks the original Metroid, which is a neat bonus. All in all, this game has got that nostalgic Metroid vibe but feels totally new. The added content and the Zero suit segment gives it a fresh spin. It's a bit short, but every minute is packed with action and exploration. Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past with 4 Swords, 2003. Coming in next is The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past and 4 Swords. This game's a cool collab between Nintendo and Capcom. In A Link to the Past, you're Link, off to save Hyrule, defeat the bad guys Aghanim and Ganon, and rescue Princess Zelda and the Seven Sages' descendants. Classic Zelda stuff. 4 Swords is a bit different. It's set before Ocarina of Time and starts with Link and Zelda checking out this 4 sword. When they pull it out, boom! Zelda's kidnapped by Vati, and Link splits into 4 to save her. They have to find 3 great fairies to get into Vati's palace, and then it's boss battle time. Now, let's talk about the gameplay where things get spicy. It's that top-down Zelda adventure we all love, but 4 Swords shakes things up with multiplayer action. You and up to 3 friends solve puzzles and compete for rupees in dungeons. The twist? You can only carry 1 item at a time, and there's this cool new net hat that lets Link shrink. Overall, it nails it with a perfect combo of classic Zelda adventure and innovative multiplayer fun, making it a must-play for both solo gamers and groups of friends. WarioWare Twisted, 2005. WarioWare Twisted is this quirky game for the Game Boy Advance, cooked up by Nintendo SPD and Intelligence Systems. Released between 2004 and 2005, it's the second in the WarioWare series and the last Wario game for the Game Boy. The story's classic Wario. He's playing his Game Boy Advance, gets mad, chucks it, and it breaks. He takes it to Dr. Krygor, who accidentally turns it into these motion-sensing game units. Wario sees dollar signs and gets his friends to create games that use this new tech. The game then follows Wario and his pals, each with their own wacky adventures, like Mona delivering pizzas and Jimmy T hanging at Club Sugar. What about gameplay, you ask? Twisted. Pun intended. It's all about quick, wild microgames that you play by spinning and twisting your GBA. It's a total shake-up from the usual button mashing, with tasks like emptying bins or steering planes. The more you play, the trickier the games get, sometimes needing a full 360-degree turn. To sum it up, this one's a total riot. The gyro sensor makes it super interactive and different from anything else on the GBA. It's a bunch of fast-paced, goofy fun that keeps you spinning and twisting for hours. So, get ready to be all wild and get on a spin-filled ride that turns the Game Boy Advance on its head. Literally. Making it a must-play for anyone looking for a twist on the usual gaming experience. Astro Boy Omega Factor, 2003. Astro Boy Omega Factor is this rad beat-em-up game for the Game Boy Advance, whipped up by Treasure and Hitmaker and published by Saga. It hit Japan in 2003 and then rolled out to North America and Europe in 2004 and 2005. The game mixes Astro Boy's story with elements from Tezuka's whole universe. You've got robot rights, time travel, and even a journey to the lost continent of Mu. The game is split into two parts, Birth and Rebirth. In Birth, robots get wiped out by this death mask device, and in Rebirth, Astro is brought back by Phoenix to stop the death mask and save the day. In the game, you play as Astro Boy, flying around and beating up enemies with some high-powered punches and kicks. The game's got this EX gauge that fills up as you do damage, letting you unleash special attacks. It's all about timing and using the right moves. Plus, you meet characters that boost Astro's stats, which is, pretty handy. The game's action is fast-paced, and the mix of story and gameplay keeps things interesting. The game's visuals are also top-notch, and the added characters from Tezuka's world make it extra special. Overall, it's both of classic manga storytelling and kick-butt action, making it quite an attraction for the fans of the genre, and newcomers alike. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, 2001. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 rolled onto the scene in 2000, developed by Neversoft and published by Activision. It's the sequel to the skateboarding hit, and it landed on pretty much every platform you could think of at the time. The devs took the original game's engine, pumped it up with better graphics and gameplay, and threw in some cool new features like manuals and cash rewards. Well, it's a skateboarding game, so don't expect a deep story. It's all about the life of a skater. You pick from real-life pros or create your own character, and then it's off to shred in various urban environments, all set to a punk rock and hip-hop soundtrack. The game is a rad mix of performing tricks and completing objectives to earn cash. You can upgrade your skater, unlock new levels, and grab better gear. The physics are a bit loose to keep things fun, and you've got a ton of tricks to master. Plus, there's a level editor for when you want to get creative. The game is quite addictive, with huge environments to explore and a killer soundtrack. The controls are tight, and there's just so much to do, from career mode to messing around in free skate. A must-play for anyone who's ever wanted to kickflip over a railing. Advance Wars, 2001. Developed by Intelligence Systems and published by Nintendo, Advance Wars hit the Game Boy Advance scene as a fresh take on turn-based strategy. Now, let's see what the plot's about, shall we? The game drops you into a fictional world where the nations of Orange Star and Blue Moon are at loggerheads. Things escalate when Andy, an Orange Star commander, is wrongly accused of attacking other nations, sparking a global conflict. You're thrown into the thick of this war, strategizing your way through battles and political intrigue. The gameplay here is all about strategy. You command armies, represented by different units on a grid-based map. The goal? Either wipe out the enemy's units or capture their HQ. The game's got a bunch of modes like the tutorial-heavy field training, story-driven campaign mode, and even a war room for score chasers. Plus, there's multiplayer and a map design mode for extra fun. Overall, this game's a strategy lover's dream. It's easy to pick up, but offers deep tactical gameplay that keeps you hooked. The variety of modes and the ability to create your own maps adds loads of replay value, and the whole thing is wrapped up in a charming, colourful package. Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3, 2003. Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3 is a pumped-up remake of the classic NES game, developed and published by Nintendo for the Game Boy Advance. Revealed at E3 2003, this game brings back all the nostalgia with a few modern twists. The game sticks to the original plot of Super Mario Bros. 3. You're hopping and bopping through 8 kingdoms in the Mushroom World, battling the Koopa Kids and Bowser. They've nabbed magic rods from the kings, turning them into creatures, and it's up to Mario and Luigi to set things right. Gameplay-wise, it's classic Mario with running, jumping, and swimming through levels to reach the goal. You've got the familiar power-ups like the Super Mushroom, Fire Flower, and Starman, plus the Super Leaf, Tanuki Suit, Frog Suit, and Hammer Bros. Suit. The game also includes a multiplayer mode based on the original Mario Bros. Arcade game. This game is truly a blast from the past with a fresh coat of paint. The added voices and e-reader features bring something new while keeping the charm of the original. It's a perfect blend of nostalgia and innovation. Well, to sum it up, it's a delightful throwback with a modern twist, offering a timeless adventure that feels both familiar and excitingly new. Mother 3. Developed by Brownie Brown and HAL Laboratory, Mother 3 is the third and final entry in the Mother series, exclusively released for the Game Boy Advance in 2006. Its development journey was a roller coaster, starting in 1994 with the Super Famicom, then shifting to the Nintendo 64, and finally landing on the Game Boy Advance. The game follows Lucas, a young boy with psychic powers, and his companions as they battle against an invading army intent on corrupting their world. The story is known for its emotional depth, tackling themes of grief, rebellion, and tyranny, and is considered more mature and dramatic than its predecessors. Gameplay-wise, this one sticks to its roots with top-down exploration and turn-based combat. Players control a party of characters, leveling up by winning battles and using currency to buy items. Unique to Mother 3 is its musical combo system in battles, where players can chain attacks to the rhythm of the background music. The game was a total hit in Japan, praised for its character development, stylized graphics, music, and engaging story. Though it didn't bring much innovation to the RPG genre, its emotional narrative and unique combat system have earned it a cult following. An English fan translation released in 2008 helped to widen its audience. Overall, this game is a beautifully crafted RPG that combines emotional storytelling with innovative gameplay, making it a cult classic that's cherished by fans even years after its release. Metroid Fusion, 2002. Now we have Metroid Fusion, a thrilling game that was developed by Nintendo Research and Development 1. It's a 2002 action-adventure game for the Game Boy Advance. It's the fourth installment in the Metroid series, following the beloved Super Metroid from 1994. In this game, you play as Samus Aran, the iconic bounty hunter investigating a space station overrun by X-parasites, shape-shifting nasties causing all sorts of chaos. The game's story is a bit darker than previous entries, with Samus herself getting infected and having to deal with the consequences. The game sticks to its Metroid roots with side-scrolling action, platform jumping, and puzzle solving, but it shakes things up with a more mission-based approach, guiding you through the game. You'll be jumping, shooting, and using your wits to uncover secrets and power-ups. Plus, there's a cool feature where you can link up with the GameCube game Metroid Prime to unlock extra content. Oh, yummy! To sum it up, this game was a hit, snagging praise for its gameplay, controls, graphics, and music. So, give it a go. Final Fantasy VI Advance, 2007. Developed by Square Enix and released for the Game Boy Advance, Final Fantasy VI Advance is a polished remake of the classic Final Fantasy VI from the Super Nintendo era. The game's epic and emotional story is set in a world where the Gestalian Empire, using a combination of magic and technology called Magitech, is conquering kingdom after kingdom. A group of rebels, the Returners, are fighting back. The narrative is rich with a diverse cast of characters, each bringing their unique backstory and personality. The standout villain, Kefka, is renowned for his evil and destructive nature. Gameplay-wise, this game retains the classic turn-based combat system, with each character having unique combat techniques. The game allows for extensive customization of characters and offers a plethora of side quests, boss battles, and hidden content. However, the remake has a slightly increased random encounter rate. Despite some minor issues like occasional slowdowns in battles and censorship of content, the game is highly acclaimed. Its robust battle system, depth of content, and the quality of its soundtrack, even with some adjustments, make it a standout title. The game's ability to remain engaging and fun years after its original release is a testament to its quality. Overall, a masterful remake that not only preserves the magic of the original, but enhances it, making it a kick-ass must-play. Super Mario Advance 3, Yoshi's Island, 2002. Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, developed and published by Nintendo, marked a significant shift in the Super Mario series. The game, which took 4 years to develop, was a sequel to Super Mario World. It featured Yoshi as the main character and introduced his now iconic flutter jump and egg-throwing abilities. The game's story revolves around Yoshi, who goes on a quest to reunite baby Mario with his kidnapped brother Luigi. The antagonist, Kamek, a Magi Koopa, disrupts the stalk, delivering the brothers, leading to an adventure across Yoshi's Island. The narrative is charming and engaging, fitting perfectly with the game's visual style. So, how's the gameplay? Well, Yoshi's Island is a 2D side-scrolling platformer that emphasizes puzzle solving and item collecting. The game features 48 levels across 6 worlds, each filled with unique challenges and hidden collectibles. Yoshi's abilities like the flutter jump and egg throwing add depth to the gameplay. The game also includes a 2-player mode and additional levels in the Game Boy Advance version. Yoshi's Island was critically acclaimed and praised for its innovative art and sound design, level design, and gameplay mechanics. It sold over 4 million copies and is often hailed as a masterpiece and one of the greatest video games of all time. The game's success solidified Yoshi as a beloved character and led to a series of spin-offs and sequels. To sum it up, if you're in the mood for a delightful and artistically stunning game that's both the best worlds, creative gameplay with a heartwarming story, then this one is just for you. Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, 2005. The Legend of Zelda, the Minish Cap, was developed by Capcom and Flagship with oversight from Nintendo and is a charming addition to the Zelda series, released for the Game Boy Advance in 2004. Set in the rich world of Hyrule, the story follows Link on a quest to rescue Princess Zelda, who's been turned to stone by the sorcerer Vati during the Picori Festival. Link's journey leads him to the Minish, a tiny race that helps him reforge the Picori blade, essential for defeating Vati and saving Zelda. The game is a tale of heroism, magic, and the battle against evil, all while exploring the backstory of key elements in the Zelda universe. Gameplay-wise, it sticks to the series' roots with top-down exploration and dungeon crawling, while introducing new items like the Mole Mitts, Gust Jar, and Cane of Pachi. The ability to shrink adds a fresh layer to puzzle solving and exploration. Players can also collect Kinstones, which unlock various rewards and progress the game. The game was well received, earning awards for its engaging gameplay, charming art style, and inventive puzzles. It was named the 2005 Game Boy Advance Game of the Year by GameSpot and ranked as one of the best GBA games by IGN. Later re-releases on platforms like the Wii U and Nintendo Switch Online have brought it to a wider audience. WarioWare Inc. Mega Microgames, 2003. WarioWare Inc. Mega Microgames was developed by Nintendo R&D 1 and published by Nintendo for the Game Boy Advance, is the debut title in the quirky WarioWare series. The game doesn't have a traditional plot. Instead, it revolves around Wario and his friends hosting various stages filled with rapid-fire microgames. Each stage has a unique theme, like sports or classic Nintendo games. Player must complete these microgames at an increasing pace. The game features over 210 microgames that are fast-paced and require quick reflexes and thinking. The gameplay is simple. Players are given a brief prompt and must complete the microgame within a tight time limit. Failing a microgame results in the loss of a life, and the game ends when all lives are lost. The game speeds up as you progress, and each stage culminates in a boss battle. Additionally, there are unlockable minigames, including competitive 2-player games and Wario versions of classic titles like Dr. Mario and Sheriff. Overall, this wildly entertaining game packs a punch with its quick, quirky microgames, making it a standout title in the Game Boy Advance library. It's notable that the game was critically acclaimed, winning GameSpot's Editor's Choice and Most Innovative Game Award in 2003. Golden Sun, 2001. Next in line is Golden Sun, the first installment of the series, which was developed by Camelot Software Planning and published by Nintendo. It's a brainchild of the Takahashi brothers, Hiroyuki and Shugo Takahashi. Originally intended as a single game for the Game Boy Advance, the project expanded into 2 games due to hardware limitations and the developer's ambitious vision. The series was Camelot's answer to Sony's dominance in the RPG market, offering a rich handheld RPG experience. The series revolves around adepts, individuals attuned to magic, who navigate a world filled with alchemy, a powerful and potentially destructive force. The first game, Golden Sun, follows Isaac and his companions as they prevent the release of alchemy. Golden Sun: The Lost Age shifts perspective to the antagonists from the first game, continuing their quest to unleash alchemy by lighting elemental lighthouses. The third installment, Golden Sun: Dark Dawn, set 30 years later, deals with the descendants of the original heroes as they face a world transformed by the presence of alchemy. Gameplay-wise, players guide a cast of characters through a fantasy-themed world, engaging in battles, acquiring using magic spells and equipment, and solving puzzles using synergy spells. The strategic use of synergy for both combat and puzzle solving is a key gameplay element. The series is known for its engaging battles, which combine direct attacks, magic spells, and summoning powerful entities called Jinn. The series has been generally well received, with the first game often hailed as one of the best for the Game Boy Advance. It won Nintendo Power's Best GBA Game of 2001 and ranked in IGN's Reader's Choice Top 100 games. The Lost Age was even more acclaimed, while Dark Dawn received high scores but didn't quite match the success of its predecessors. Fire Emblem The Blazing Blade, 2003. Fire Emblem The Blazing Blade is the best of both worlds. From strategic depth to rich character development, this game has set a high standard for tactical RPGs. Developed by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo, it's the 7th installment in the Fire Emblem series and the first to be localized for international audiences. Set on the fictional continent of Alibi, the game is a prequel to The Binding Blade. It follows the journey of Lyn, Eli Wood, and Hector, three young lords who unite to find Eli Wood's missing father and unravel a larger conspiracy threatening Alibi. The story unfolds through the eyes of an unseen tactician guiding the player's army. This is a tactical role-playing game featuring grid-based tactical combat. Characters have distinct classes affecting their abilities and face permanent death if defeated in battle. The game introduces weather and terrain effects, and objectives vary from defeating all enemies to capturing strongholds. The weapon triangle system governs weapon strengths and weaknesses, and a support system enhances character relationships and stats. The game also includes a Link Arena multiplayer option. This game received international critical acclaim, establishing the Fire Emblem series in the West. The success of the game led to the localization of subsequent Fire Emblem games.
Choose a game.
Super Mario Advance 2, Super Mario World, 2002. Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance 2 is a reissue of the classic Super Mario World for the Game Boy Advance, developed by Nintendo Entertainment. This version stands out for being a single-player game, allowing players to choose between Mario and Luigi, who now have unique gameplay characteristics. The game's plot remains faithful to the original, with Mario and Luigi adventuring through Dinosaur Land to rescue Princess Toadstool and free the Yoshis from the clutches of Bowser and his Koopalings. Players navigate through various worlds via an overworld map, tackling levels filled with classic Mario challenges and enemies. Gameplay-wise, it retains the beloved features of Super Mario World, including the Super Mushroom, Fire Flower, Starman, and the Cape Feather. Yoshi returns as a sidekick, offering unique abilities when holding different colored Koopa shells. The game introduces several gameplay changes, such as an updated save system, a higher maximum life count, and the ability to replay castles and fortresses after defeating Bowser. The game was well received for its faithful recreation of the original's charm, combined with enhancements that made it a fresh experience on the Game Boy Advance. Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town, 2003. Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town unfolds as a heartwarming tale of a city boy who inherits a farm in Mineral Town. After a childhood visit, he returns as an adult to find the old man who showed him kindness has passed away, leaving the farm to him. The player's journey revolves around restoring the farm, mingling with townsfolk, and possibly finding love. As for the gameplay, players start with basic tools, working to clear land, plant crops, and care for livestock. Money earned can expand the farm and diversify activities. Social interactions are key, with various villagers to befriend and potential romantic interests. Unique to this game is the connectivity with Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life on the GameCube, enhancing the gameplay experience. Critics have hailed it as one of the best in the series, blending the charm of console versions with new features. Its simple yet engaging gameplay, combined with deep social mechanics, makes it a standout title. Wario Land 4, 2001. Wario Land 4 for the Game Boy Advance, developed by Nintendo in 2001, is a quirky platformer where Wario's on a mission to gather treasures and rescue Princess Shakura from the Golden Diva. This game spices up the Wario Land series with its unique blend of humor and adventure. Wario starts each level by jumping through a vortex, which closes behind him. You've got to hit a switch to reopen it, starting a countdown that adds a real sense of urgency to your escape. If time runs out, you lose your score and get booted from the stage. Wario's got a health meter now, so Taking damage is more of a big deal than in previous games. The plot's classic Wario. He's after treasure in a mysterious pyramid, battling bosses and ultimately facing the Golden Diva. The ending's pretty cool, with Princess Shakura's form at the end depending on how much treasure you've snagged. The gameplay is a mix of exploration and puzzle solving, with a dash of urgency. After an entry passage that's like a tutorial, you've got 4 main passages: Emerald, nature-themed; Topaz, toys and games; Ruby, mechanics and tech; and Sapphire, horror and ghosts. Each passage ends with a boss fight. The levels are filled with jewel pieces to collect, unlocking the boss levels, and you've got to find a creature called Keyser to progress. Plus, there's treasure everywhere, boosting your score. Overall, this is a fantastic addition to the series. It's got the right mix of challenge, exploration, and Wario's signature wacky style. If you're into platformers with a twist, this game's a must-try. It's like a wild ride through Wario's treasure-obsessed world, and you're in for a treat. Mario Kart Super Circuit 2001. Mario Kart Super Circuit, the 2001 Game Boy Advance release, is the third installment in the beloved Mario Kart series. Developed by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo, it's the first handheld game in the series and a nostalgic nod to its predecessors. The game sticks to the classic Mario Kart formula. Players choose from iconic Mario characters and race around tracks inspired by the Super Mario universe. The tracks are peppered with power-ups and obstacles, adding a layer of strategy and unpredictability to each race. Super Circuit includes various modes like the Grand Prix, Time Trial, and Quick Run, offering a solid single-player experience. Graphically, Super Circuit harks back to the original Super Mario Kart, with its Mode 7 style scaling and parallax scrolling. It was a significant shift from the early demos, resulting in a more familiar visual style for fans of this series. Revealed alongside the GBA in 2000, it was one of the first games to showcase the capabilities of the handheld. Critically acclaimed for its gameplay, modes, and challenge level, Super Circuit, however, received mixed reactions for its multiplayer aspects. Despite being one of the less innovative Mario Kart games, it's often remembered fondly and ranked high among GBA games. Selling 5.91 million copies, it's the 4th best-selling GBA game, despite being the lowest-selling main Mario Kart game. In a nutshell, this is a delightful blend of nostalgia and new-age handheld gaming. This game feels like taking a joyride down memory lane, with all the Mario Kart thrills in the palm of your hand. Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire 2002. Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire, released in 2002 for the Game Boy Advance, marks the advent of the third generation in the iconic Pokémon series. Developed by Game Freak, these games introduced players to the diverse Hoenn region, inspired by Japan's Kyushu Island, but with a unique 90-degree twist. The plot centers around the player's journey as either Brendan or May, starting in the quaint Little Root town. After choosing a starter Pokémon, Trico, Torchic, or Mudkip, to assist Professor Birch, players embark on an adventure to conquer the 8 gym leaders and challenge the Elite Four. Alongside this, they encounter Team Aqua in Sapphire or Team Magnus in Ruby, who seek to manipulate legendary Pokémon to reshape Hoenn's landscape. The gameplay obviously remains faithful to the series' roots, with the familiar overhead perspective and turn-based battles. However, Ruby and Sapphire introduce fresh elements like double battles, Pokémon abilities, and Pokémon contests. The addition of 135 new Pokémon enriches the experience. Players can connect with up to 4 players, a step up from the previous limit of 2, and link to other third-generation Pokémon games. In essence, Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire are a blend of familiar charm and innovative features, making them a memorable part of the Pokémon legacy. They're like a refreshing journey through a beloved world with just enough new twists to keep things exciting. Mario Golf 2004. Mario Golf Advance Tour was developed by Camelot Software Planning and published by Nintendo in 2004 for the Game Boy Advance. In the story mode, players venture on a journey to become the ultimate golfer. The game features an overworld map where players can explore 4 golfing clubs: Marion, Palms, Dunes, and Links, each hosting tournaments. Victory in these tournaments is crucial to earn the right to golf with Mario himself. The game also includes side courses and a custom club shop for special golf clubs. Each club offers a golf course for tournaments or practice rounds, a practice area with minigames and challenges for skill honing, and student lodging, which is a unique feature of the Marion course. Players choose between 2 characters, Neil or Ella, each with distinct strengths in hitting and golfing style. Progressing through the game allows players to gain experience and enhance their characters' abilities. The multiplayer aspect of Advance Tour includes 4 modes, ranging from turn-based play on a single Game Boy Advance to trading clubs via a Game Link cable or wireless adapter. The game also supports a wireless adapter mode for exclusive club sets. This game stands out for its innovative combination of RPG elements with golf, offering a deep and satisfying gameplay experience. It's like a hole-in-one for fans of both genres, blending strategy and sports in a fun, engaging package. Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance, 2002. Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance is a gem from 2002 for the Game Boy Advance. The plot? Classic Castlevania with a twist. 50 years post Dracula's curse, we follow Juiced Belmont, Simon's grandson, on a rescue mission for his childhood friend. It's a tale of friendship, memory loss, and, of course, vampire hunting. Gameplay-wise, it's a nostalgic trip back to 2D side-scrolling action. You're navigating Juiced through a monster-packed castle, dealing with 2 layers of reality, each with its own quirks. The game spices things up with a dash move, magical attacks combining sub-weapons and spellbooks, and even a room-decorating minigame. RPG elements are there too, with leveling up and equipment upgrades. Now, how good is it? It's a solid entry in the series. The graphics are a step up from its predecessor, and it brings back beloved elements from Symphony of the Night. However, it's not without its flaws. The map can be confusing, the story is a bit weak, and the music doesn't hit the high notes of other entries. But it's a fun ride for fans and newcomers alike. Overall, a nostalgic, whip-cracking adventure that's a little rough around the edges, but still a blast to play. Sonic Advance, 2001. Alright, next up is Sonic Advance, the 2001 platformer that marked Sonic's high-speed debut on the Game Boy Advance. The plot? Classic Sonic with a twist. Our blue hero, along with Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, races to thwart Dr. Eggman's world domination plans. It's all about zipping through levels, smashing robots, and snagging those Chaos Emeralds. Gameplay is a throwback to the Sega Genesis days, but with a fresh coat of paint. You've got 4 characters, each bringing their own flair to the table. Sonic's the speed king. Tails can fly, Knuckles glides and climbs, and Amy, well, she's all about that hammer power. The game's packed with 6 zones, each split into 2 acts full of enemies, obstacles, and those iconic loop-de-loops. And don't forget the special stages for a shot at the Chaos Emeralds. So, how good is this Sonic Advance? The graphics and character animations are top-notch, capturing the classic Sonic vibe perfectly. However, it's a bit on the short side, and those special stages might make you pull your hair out. But hey, it sold over 1 million copies in the US alone, and even spawned a couple of sequels. To sum it up, a high-speed nostalgia trip that's short but oh so sweet. Perfect for both old-school fans and new speedsters. Double Dragon Advance, 2003. Double Dragon Advance is the 2003 revamp of the classic 1987 arcade beat-em-up. It punches its way onto the Game Boy Advance with some fresh twists. The plot is kick-ass classic 80s action. You're either Billy or Jimmy Lee, martial arts masters on a mission to rescue Billy's girlfriend Marion from the clutches of the Shadow Warriors. It's a tale of fists, kicks, and brotherly love. The gameplay is a nostalgic throwback with a modern touch. You can go solo or team up with a buddy using a Game Link cable. There's even a mode where you can switch between playing as both Lee brothers. The game spices things up with new moves from later games and other Techno's beat-em-ups, plus cool new weapons like nunchakus. 4 additional stages, including a Chinatown brawl and a truck-top fight, add to the original arcade levels. So, how does Double Dragon Advance stack up? Well, it's a solid remake. The game stays true to the original spirit while adding enough new content to feel fresh. The expanded moveset and new weapons give it an extra kick. However, it's not without its limits. Some planned features got the chop due to cartridge size constraints. All in all, a kicking tribute to the arcade classic, blending old-school brawling with new tricks for a knockout experience. Pokemon Ruby Sapphire, 2003. Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire for the Game Boy Advance was like a fresh breeze in the Pokemon universe. These games, the 3rd gen in the series, upped the Pokemon count to a whopping 386. They even got a snazzy remake with Pokemon Emerald, adding a battle frontier, and later Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire for the 3DS. Now, coming to the plot, you're a kid who's just moved to Hoenn, a region based on a Japanese island. You start your journey in Little Root Town, picking your first Pokemon from Professor Birch. Your rival, May or Brendan, is also a Pokemon trainer. The story heats up as you take on teams Aqua and Magma, who are messing with the weather in Hoenn using legendary Pokemon Groudon, Ruby, or Kyogre, Sapphire. Gameplay-wise, this one introduced a bunch of cool stuff. We're talking a new computer story system, 100 new Pokemon, and a revamped battle system with double battles. Abilities and nature's added a new layer of strategy, affecting how your Pokemon grow. Plus, Pokemon contests were a fun twist, like beauty pageants for your Pokemon, complete with Pokeblocks treats. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga 2003. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga is a 2003 RPG gem for the Game Boy Advance that takes our favorite plumber brothers on a hilarious adventure to the Bean Kingdom. The mission? To retrieve Princess Peach's voice, stolen by the wicked Cocletta and her sidekick Fawful. It's a quirky comedic twist on the Mario formula. Gameplay is a delightful mix of RPG elements and classic Mario action. You control both Mario and Luigi simultaneously, navigating the overworld and engaging in turn-based battles. The battle system is a hoot, focusing on timing and action commands for attacks and defense. You'll find yourself jumping, hammering, and using special bros attacks that require teamwork between the brothers. It's all about coordination and timing here. The game's charm lies in its humor and clever writing. It's a lighter, more whimsical take on the Mario RPG concept, and it works brilliantly. Critics loved the game's tone and script, though some had mixed feelings about the gameplay and top-down perspective. Still, it's often listed among the best GBA games and even got a shiny remake for the 3DS, with updated graphics and extra content. So, if you're up for a hilarious action-packed RPG adventure that proves saving the day can be as funny as it is heroic, well, this one would definitely be your go-to. Fire Emblem The Blazing Blade 2003. Fire Emblem The Blazing Blade, also known simply as Fire Emblem, is a tactical RPG masterpiece for the Game Boy Advance. Released in 2003, it's the 7th installment in the series and the first to greet international shores. The game is a prequel to The Binding Blade, set in the fictional continent of Alibi. It spins the tale of Lyn, Eli Wood, and Hector, three young lords on a quest to find Eli Wood's father and unravel a conspiracy threatening Alibi's peace. The gameplay here is a strategic buffet of grid-based battles where every move counts. You control an army, with each unit having distinct classes affecting their abilities. The catch? Well, if a character falls in battle, they're gone for good, thanks to the series' iconic permanent death feature. It's a game of chess with high stakes and emotional investment. All in all, a gripping tale of honor and strategy, where every choice can mean triumph or tragedy in a beautifully crafted world. Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2003. In Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, you're thrown into the shoes of Marsh, a kid who, along with his pals Mute, Ritz, and Doned, get zapped into a magical book's world, Ivalice. It's all about Marsh's quest to get back to reality, but not everyone's on board with leaving this fantasy realm. It's like a wild dream where you're both the hero and the party pooper. Now, coming to the gameplay. Think chess, but with cool characters and magic. You move your clan around a 3D grid, battling it out in turn-based style. You're the boss, picking classes and skills for your team. Missions vary from full-on battles to sending your guys on errands. Plus, the world map grows with your victories, and there's even a multiplayer mode for some friendly face-offs. This game's a gem on the Game Boy Advance. It has depth with its job system, where mastering skills unlocks new career paths for your characters. The races like Mughals and Bangar add variety, and the whole lore system in battles keeps you on your toes. It's not just about fighting, it's about fighting smart. To sum it up, this game's a tactical dreamland where every move is a step in an epic chess game of fantasy and strategy. Mario Tennis Power Tour 2005. Mario Tennis Power Tour serves up a smashing blend of sports and adventure, making it a racket worth picking up. In the game, you wake up at the Royal Tennis Academy, clueless but ready to swing. Your goal? Climb the ranks from a newbie to the top player and uncover the mystery behind some masked challengers who have been stirring up the scene. It's like a tennis-themed detective story, but with more backhands and less actual detective work. Now, let's talk about the gameplay. You can think of it as a classic Mario Tennis with a twist. You've got to use your usual slices and topspins, but the real game changers are the power shots. Offensive ones pack a punch, but defensive shots are your saving grace against tough plays. It's not just about hitting the ball, it's about when to unleash these power moves. Plus, you get to play both singles and doubles, so it's double the fun. Overall, this game is a solid hit on the Game Boy Advance. The variety of characters, including the Mario crew showing up later, adds flavor, and the journey from an unknown player to a tennis champ is genuinely super satisfying. So, why wait? Advance Wars 2 Black Hole Rising 2003. The game picks up where the original left off. The Black Hole Army, led by Sturm, is back with a vengeance, invading Macroland. You're part of the Allied nations, teaming up to kick Black Hole's butt out of your world. It's like a game of global domination, but but with more strategy and less actual world-ending consequences. If you loved the first Advance Wars, you're in for a treat. It's the same turn-based strategy goodness, but with some fresh twists. You've got new COs, commanding officers, and the introduction of Super CO powers, adding more depth to your battle tactics. The game's all about outsmarting your enemy, capturing bases, and making smart moves. Plus, there's a new unit, the Neo Tank, and some cool terrain features like missile silos and pipelines to mix things up. This sequel's simply a blast. It sticks to what made the original great, and adds just enough new content to keep things interesting. The non-linear campaign mode offers a good challenge, and the multiplayer options are a blast. It's strategic, it's fun, and it's got enough variety to keep you hooked. Overall, this game is a strategic masterpiece that turns every battle into a brain-teasing power play. Mega Man 03, 2004. Mega Man 03 is a high-octane blend of classic action and fresh twists, making every battle a blast from the past with a new kick. 2 months after Zero's last adventure, things get wild. Seal's got a new energy plan, the Seal system. But then a spaceship crashes, bringing back the Dark Elf and some old foes, Omega and Dr. Wheel. Zero's off to investigate, finding the Guardians fighting Omega. Plot twist: Copy X is back, thanks to Dr. Wheel, and they're causing chaos in Neo Arcadia. The story's a roller coaster with betrayals, battles, and a big reveal about Zero's true identity. It's like a sci-fi soap opera with more robots and less amnesia. If you dug Mega Man 02, you'll feel right at home. Zero's got his classic arsenal, but say hello to the recoil rod. Think tonfas that can launch you into the air. The Cyber Elf system's been revamped, introducing satellite Cyber Elves for constant buffs without hurting your score. Plus, there's this new cyberspace dimension, adding a fresh layer to the gameplay. It's all about slicing, dicing, and making strategic choices with your Cyber Elves. Quality. This game's a solid entry in the Mega Man Zero series. The gameplay sticks to its roots while adding enough new elements to keep it fresh. The story's engaging, the action's tight, and the new features like the recoil rod and cyberspace add depth to the classic formula. Final Fantasy V Advance, 2006. Final Fantasy V Advance starts with Bart, a wandering adventurer investigating a fallen meteor. He soon teams up with Lena, a princess, Galuf, an amnesiac old man, and Faris, a pirate captain. Together, they embark on a quest to protect the world's 4 elemental crystals from the evil sorcerer Exdeath. The story unfolds with twists, turns, and revelations, including the true identity of Faris and Galuf's heroic sacrifice. The narrative is a classic RPG tale of adventure, heroism, and the struggle against a formidable evil. The gameplay here is a delightful combination of traditional RPG elements and innovative features. Players explore a vast world, engage in random encounters, and complete various side quests. The standout feature is the active time battle ATB system, where battles flow in real time, adding urgency and strategy to combat. The job system is the game's crown jewel, allowing players to customize characters with 22 different jobs, each with unique abilities. This system provides immense depth and replayability as players experiment with different job combinations and strategies. All in all, this game's a shining example of the RPG genre. Its engaging plot, deep customization, and innovative gameplay make it a timeless classic. The game's success in Japan and its cult status in the West, despite initial localization challenges, speak to its enduring appeal. The job system in particular has influenced many RPGs that followed. In this game, every job change will bring you a new adventure, so hurry up, get your controllers. Mario vs. Donkey Kong, 2004. Mario vs. Donkey Kong is a quirky tale where Mario, the owner of a toy company, finds himself in a pickle when Donkey Kong falls head over heels for the mini Mario toys. After discovering that they're sold out, DK throws a fit and raids Mario's factory, swiping all the toys. So, what is Mario's mission? Chase down DK through various levels, rescue the mini Marios, and deal with DK's shenanigans. It's a light-hearted, fun story that adds a twist to the classic Mario vs. Donkey Kong rivalry. This game's a delightful mix of both puzzle and platform elements. You play as Mario, navigating through levels to find keys, unlock doors, and save mini Marios. Mario's got a bunch of cool moves like handstands and triple jumps, making for some engaging platforming action. The game's divided into different types of levels, including standard key-to-door puzzles, guiding mini Marios to safety, and boss battles against DK. The Plus and Expert levels up the ante with more challenging puzzles, keeping you on your toes. It's safe to say that Mario vs. Donkey Kong is a solid entry in the Mario series. The variety in level design keeps things fresh, and the boss battles are a fun throwback. This game's something that's easy to pick up, but offers enough depth to keep you engaged. Castlevania Circle of the Moon, 2001. Castlevania Circle of the Moon, a launch title for the Game Boy Advance in 2001, which was Konami's way of bringing the classic vampire hunting action to handheld gaming. Developed by Konami Computer Entertainment Kobe, it initially featured in the 2000 Tokyo Game Show with a bang, showcasing 2 characters, Hugh and Nathan. Though Hugh didn't make the final cut as a playable character, the game still rocked the GBA world upon its release. Coming to the storyline, set in 1830, the game spins around Nathan Graves, a whip-wielding vampire hunter. Nathan Nathan's journey begins after Dracula's minion, Camilla, revives the infamous vampire. In a dramatic twist, Dracula traps Nathan and Hugh, Morris Baldwin's son, in the depths of his castle. As Nathan, you're on a mission to rescue your mentor, Morris, and stop Dracula. The plot thickens with Hugh's jealousy and Dracula's manipulations, leading to a final showdown where Nathan proves his mettle as a master vampire hunter. Gameplay-wise, it sticks to the classic Castlevania formula with a 2D side-scrolling adventure packed with monster-slaying action. Nathan's journey through Dracula's castle is non-linear, with new areas unlocking as you gain abilities like double jump and wall kick. The game's standout feature is the dual setup system, DSS, which lets you combine magic cards for various effects, adding a strategic layer to the whip-cracking action. All in all, this game's a solid entry in the Castlevania series, blending traditional action with RPG elements and the innovative DSS. It's a fan favorite for its difficult yet engaging gameplay, making it a memorable experience on the GBA. Pokémon Mystery Dungeon. Blue Rescue Team and Red Rescue Team hit the scene as a dynamic duo for the Nintendo DS and Game Boy Advance, respectively. Developed by Chunsoft and published by the Pokémon Company and Nintendo, these games marked a unique twist in the Pokémon universe. While this was the GBA swan song for Pokémon games, Blue Rescue Team leveraged the DS's dual screen and enhanced graphics. Both versions shared the core gameplay but had exclusive Pokémon to each, adding a nice little twist for collectors. Now, let's talk about the storyline here. Imagine waking up as a Pokémon with no memory of your human past. That's your start in the game. You, now a Pokémon, team up with a partner to form a rescue team in a world rattled by natural disasters. The plot thickens with legends of a cursed human turned Pokémon and the ensuing chaos. You're on a venture to uncover your past and save the world, facing off against rival teams and legendary Pokémon, all while dodging accusations and unraveling the truth behind the disturbances. The gameplay is classic Mystery Dungeon, roguelike, turn-based, and full of random dungeon crawls. You'll take on various missions, battle wild Pokémon, and manage resources like food. The twist? Well, the dungeons change every time you enter, keeping you on your toes. Your Pokémon choice is determined by a personality quiz, adding a personal touch to your adventures. These games were a hit, blending the charm of Pokémon with the unpredictability of dungeon crawlers. They sold millions and were well received for their originality, though some critique the gameplay and visuals. Still, they're a unique spin on the Pokémon formula and a fun dive into a world where you're the Pokémon. F-Zero. Here we have F-Zero Maximum Velocity that zoomed onto the Game Boy Advance in 2001 as one of the launch titles developed by ND Cube and published by Nintendo. This game marked a significant milestone as the first F-Zero game on a handheld console. ND Cube took a leap with this title, employing a pseudo 3D visual style reminiscent of the original SNES F-Zero, but with a double-layer twist for added depth. Set 25 years after the original F-Zero, this one thrusts players into a new era of the F-Zero Grand Prix. It's a fresh start with no Captain Falcon or other familiar faces from the original cast. Instead, players get to pilot their way to fame with a new lineup of speedsters and hovercrafts, each bringing their own flair to the futuristic racing scene. True to F-Zero's roots, the gameplay is all about high-speed, adrenaline-pumping races across various tracks. Each race is a 5-lap dash where your skills are tested to the max. You've got to manage your machine's health, avoid getting knocked out of the track, and strategically use speed boosts. The Grand Prix mode is the heart of the single-player experience, with 4 series to conquer and new machines to unlock. There's also a championship mode for time trials on a special course, adding to the variety. This game's not just a solo ride. It offers 2 multiplayer modes using the Game Boy Advance link cable. Whether you're sharing a cartridge or each player has their own, the multiplayer races are a blast, especially with the unique silence track that, true to its name, has no background music. It's safe to say that this game is a solid entry in the F-Zero series, which successfully captured the essence of high-speed futuristic racing. While it might not have the iconic characters of the original, it makes up for it with its engaging gameplay and the novelty of portable F-Zero action. Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, 2004. Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, which was released in 2004 for the Game Boy Advance, is a unique collaboration between HAL Laboratory, Flagship, and DIMPS. While Flagship, a subsidiary of Capcom, took the lead in planning, DIMPS handled the programming, design, and sound. HAL Laboratory contributed with artwork and debugging, creating a game that stands out in the Kirby series. The game kicks off in the Mirror World, located in the skies of Dreamland. Here, a mirror that grants wishes turns evil, copying the mind of a mysterious figure, Meta Knight. Meta Knight flies up to tackle this new threat, but ends up trapped in the mirror by his darker counterpart, Dark Meta Knight. Meanwhile, Kirby, minding his own business, is split into 4 by Dark Meta Knight. These 4 Kirbys, each a different color, embark on an adventure through the mirror world to rescue Meta Knight and restore peace. The journey culminates in a showdown with Dark Meta Knight and the true villain, Dark Mind. Now, let's take a peek at the gameplay. Ditching the traditional linear platforming, this game adopts a Metroidvania style. It features a maze-like map where Kirby can explore in almost any order, provided he has the right powers. It's packed with puzzles, enemies, sub-bosses, and unique abilities like Cupid and Missile. The game also includes fun minigames and a multiplayer mode where players can summon other Kirbys using an in-game cell phone. Overall, a delightful twist in the Kirby franchise, offering a refreshing Metroidvania experience with the beloved pink puffball. Pokémon Emerald 2005. Next up, we have Pokémon Emerald, which is an enhanced remake of Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire, adding to the third generation of Pokémon games. Developed by the same team, it brought significant changes and additions to the original gameplay and story. The game was designed to offer a more comprehensive experience, incorporating elements from both Ruby and Sapphire. It's set in the Hoenn region, where the player, as a Pokémon trainer, aims to conquer 8 Pokémon gyms to earn badges and challenge the Elite Four and the Pokémon League champion. The plot diverges from Ruby and Sapphire by featuring both Team Magma and Team Aqua as antagonists, each awakening a legendary Pokémon, Groudon and Kyogre. The player's mission is to awaken Rayquaza to stop these two legendary Pokémon from fighting and restore balance to Hoenn. Speaking of the gameplay, it retains the core mechanics of its predecessors but introduces several new features. The game has a more sporadic 2-on-2 battle system, animated Pokémon sprites during battles, and redesigned routes and gym layouts. It also includes the Battle Frontier, an expanded version of the Battle Tower, offering a variety of challenges and battles. Players can catch both Groudon and Kyogre post-game and choose between encountering Latios or Latias. Overall, the gameplay was praised for being more than just a director's cut of Ruby and Sapphire, offering a richer experience. The game achieved commercial success, becoming the third best-selling game for the Game Boy Advance with over 6.32 million copies sold. Gunstar Future Heroes 2005. Gunstar Super Heroes, the sequel to the 1993 Sega Genesis classic Gunstar Heroes, was developed by Treasure and published by Sega in 2005 for the Game Boy Advance. The game is set after the original storyline, featuring an expanded combat system and continuing the legacy of its predecessor. The story unfolds after the destruction of the God of Ruin, aka Gold and Silver, from the first game. This cataclysmic event leads to the creation of 4 moons orbiting Earth, and later, a mysterious 5th moon appears, signaling the resurrection of the Empire and Gold and Silver. Protagonists Red and Blue, named in homage to the original Gunstar Heroes, join forces with Yellow as part of the Third Eye organization. Their mission is to travel to these moons, thwart the Empire's plans, and secure the treasure gems, mystical stones central to the previous game's plot. The game features different storylines depending on the chosen difficulty and character. This game revamps the gameplay of its predecessor. Both Red and Blue have more advanced and versatile controls, with a focus on melee attacks executed through button and D-pad combinations. The game ditches the original's weapon combination system in favor of selectable weapon types and introduces a supercharge meter for powerful attacks. Critics lauded this game as a compelling action game, with high scores from various publications and awards like Best GBA Game of E3 2005. Despite its critical acclaim and high ratings from sources like IGN and Nintendo Power, the game didn't achieve strong sales, leading to some disappointment from fans and reviewers who felt it deserved more recognition. Drill Dozer 2005. Here we have Drill Dozer, that was initially titled Screwbreaker, was unveiled at E3 2005 and developed by Game Freak for the Game Boy Advance. Released in Japan in 2005 and North America in 2006, it was later localized for Europe in 2016. The localization process, led by Nintendo of America's Treehouse division, involved not just translation but also cultural adaptation, ensuring the game's humor and character names resonated with English-speaking audiences. The game follows Jill, the daughter of Doug, leader of the Red Dozer's bandit gang. After a rival gang, the Skulkers, steal the Red Diamond, a precious gift from her deceased mother, Jill embarks on a quest to retrieve it. Her journey leads her to encounter other mystical diamonds, each with unique powers and challenges. The game concludes with Jill defeating the antagonist Krug and becoming the new boss of the Red Dozers. Now, coming to the gameplay, it revolves around using the drill, which can be powered up to different gears for varied effects. Unique to the game is its force feedback feature, one of only 2 Game Boy Advance games to include this. Overall, the game was well received upon release, praised for its innovative gameplay and force feedback feature. It's often regarded as one of the best Game Boy Advance games, thanks to its super engaging mechanics and charming protagonist. Golden Sun. Golden Sun: The Lost Age was developed by Camelot Software Planning and published by Nintendo. It's the second installment in the Golden Sun series. Released for the Game Boy Advance in 2002, it was the last game released before Hiroshi Yamauchi retired as president of Nintendo. The game was eagerly awaited, topping IGN's list of most wanted Game Boy Advance games for 2003 and was showcased at E3 2002. The game continues the story from the previous installment, focusing on the antagonists from the first game. Players control magic-attuned adepts, Felix and his allies, knights as they strive to restore the power of alchemy to the world of Weyard. Gameplay-wise, it retains the traditional role-playing game formula, with players guiding characters through a fantasy-themed world. The game emphasizes exploration, puzzle-solving, and battling monsters. Unique to this installment is the navigation of a magical ship across a vast sea, opening up new areas for exploration. The use of synergy spells for both combat and solving puzzles is a key gameplay element. The game also features a Djinn system, where collecting and manipulating elemental creatures called Djinn enhances characters' powers and abilities. To sum it up, Golden Sun: The Lost Age is a captivating and expansive RPG adventure, building on its predecessor's legacy with enhanced gameplay, intriguing plot twists, and a beautifully crafted world, making it a standout title in the GBA's RPG lineup. Kuru Kuru Kururin 2001. Kuru Kuru Kururin, developed by Eighting, was first announced at Nintendo Space World 2000. Published by Nintendo, this puzzle game made its debut on the Game Boy Advance in Japan in 2001 and in Europe and Australia as a launch title. It took quite a while to reach North America, finally appearing on the Wii U's Virtual Console service in 2016. The game marked the beginning of the Kururin series, which later saw 2 sequels released exclusively in Japan. The story of Kuru Kuru Kururin is charmingly simple. Kururin, the protagonist, goes on an adventure to find his missing brothers and sisters. Despite never having left his home world before, Kururin is trained by Teacher Hare in the art of controlling the Helirin, a stick-shaped helicopter. This sets the stage for his adventurous journey across various worlds to rescue his family. The gameplay's core mechanic involves maneuvering the Helirin, a continuously rotating stick, through a series of mazes without touching the walls. Players control the direction and speed, with 3 levels of speed available. The challenge lies in the Helirin's constant rotation, making navigation tricky. The game features bonuses, record times to beat, and a gold star for accident-free levels. It also offers a multiplayer mode for up to 4 players using a single cartridge. The levels vary in themes like ice, cave, and machine, and increase in difficulty. There's also a challenge mode with smaller levels focusing on specific obstacles. This game received positive reception for its unique and challenging gameplay. It's often praised for its simplicity, addictive nature, and the gradual increase in difficulty, making it accessible to beginners yet challenging for experienced players. Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls 2004. Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls is a compilation of the first 2 games in the iconic Final Fantasy series, developed by Square Enix. Released for the Game Boy Advance, it brought these classic RPGs to a new generation of gamers. The compilation, graphically similar to the enhanced remakes for the WonderSwan Color, included additional features like the bestiary, allowing players to view images and statistics of defeated enemies. The first game, Final Fantasy, revolves around the journey of the 4 Warriors of Light, tasked with restoring light to the 4 crystals that sustain their world. Final Fantasy II shifts focus to 3 youths battling against the Emperor of Palamecia, who seeks world domination. The story begins with them being separated from their friend Leon, setting off a series of events that shape their quest. Now, coming to the gameplay. Both games stay true to the original NES versions in content, but feature several enhancements. The magic system in Final Fantasy was updated to the more familiar MP system used in later games. The gameplay involves navigating through a fantasy world, engaging in battles, solving puzzles, and completing missions. The Game Boy Advance adaptations also made the Thief and Monk classes more powerful, while slightly weakening the Red Mage. The compilation was generally well received, with many praising the reduced difficulty level compared to the NES originals. Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls made these classic games more accessible to a broader audience, though some purists preferred the original difficulty. Ultimate Card Games 2004. Next in line is Ultimate Card Games. This one's developed by the German studio Cosmigo and published by Telegames. It was designed for both the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS platforms. The game, which includes a variety of classic card games like poker and solitaire, had a bit of a rocky journey to the market. As a collection of card games, this one doesn't come with a storyline. It's all about jumping straight into the gameplay, choosing your favorite card game, and getting down to some serious card-playing action. Now, talking gameplay, the game offers a variety of thinking games, perfect for card game enthusiasts. Whether you're a fan of the strategic complexities of poker or the solitary focus of solitaire, there's something for everyone. The gameplay is designed to be intuitive and engaging, catering to both beginners and seasoned card players. All in all, it aims to bring the classic and beloved card game experience to handheld consoles, offering a diverse and engaging collection for card game aficionados. F-Zero GP Legend 2004. F-Zero GP Legend was developed by Suzak Inc. and is a futuristic racing game for the Game Boy Advance. Released in Japan in 2003 and in Europe and North America in 2004, this game is based on the anime of the same name. It was followed by a sequel, F-Zero Climax in 2004, which was exclusive to Japan. This game doesn't have a traditional plot as it's primarily focused on high-speed racing. It's set in the F-Zero universe, known for its futuristic racing circuits and high-stakes competitions. The game features characters and settings from the F-Zero anime, adding a layer of familiarity for fans of the series. Gameplay here stays true to the essence of the original SNES F-Zero and incorporates features from F-Zero X on the Nintendo 64. The game introduces a new Mode 7 effect for the GBA, enhancing the sense of speed and motion. Players control their vehicles, known as machines, using various buttons for acceleration, braking, and drifting. The game includes multiple modes like Grand Prix, Story, Time Attack, Training, and Zero Test, each offering a unique racing experience. It also supports multiplayer racing via the Game Boy link cable. The game was well received for capturing the fast-paced action of the F-Zero series. Its variety of modes and the inclusion of features from previous F-Zero titles made it a comprehensive package for racing enthusiasts. However, the lack of e-reader support in the Western releases was a missed opportunity for additional content. Sword of Mana. Sword of Mana, released in 2003 for the Game Boy Advance, is an action role-playing game developed by Square Enix and Brownie Brown. This fifth installment in the series was produced by series creator Koichi Ishii and directed by Takeo Oin, with significant contributions from Brownie Brown, a team comprising former Square employees. Set in a high fantasy universe, Sword of Mana follows the parallel stories of an unnamed hero and heroine on the quest to defeat the Dark Lord and protect the Mana Tree from those who wish to misuse its power. The game begins with each character's backstory involving personal losses and motivations that propel them into their adventurous journey. The gameplay here is an expanded version of Final Fantasy Adventure, featuring elements from later games in the Mana series. Players can choose to follow the story of either the hero or the heroine, each with unique abilities and strengths. The game introduces real-time combat, a day and night system, and the hothouse feature for weapon forging and produce planting. Unlike the original, it allows for multiplayer interaction through the Game Boy Advance link cable, enabling powerful Amigo system attacks. Sword of Mana received mixed reviews. Critics praised its graphics and enhancements over the original version, but were less enthusiastic about the plot and some gameplay elements, particularly the computer-controlled ally. The game was recommended mainly for fans of the genre or the series. Game & Watch Gallery Advance, 2002. Last but not least of today's episode, we have Game & Watch Gallery 4, which is also known as Game & Watch Gallery Advance in Europe and Australia. It's a unique installment in the Game & Watch series. Released for the Game Boy Advance in 2002, it's the fifth game in the series in Europe and Australia, but considered the fourth in North America. Interestingly, it didn't see a Japanese release until 2016, when it was made available on the Wii U's Virtual Console. This title is notable for being the first in the series to officially credit Tozy as a co-developer, despite their involvement in earlier games. As a collection of classic games, Game & Watch Gallery 4 doesn't have a traditional plot. Instead, it focuses on delivering a nostalgic gaming experience, bringing back the charm of the original Game & Watch games. The game offers a delightful mix of old and new, featuring 11 games in both classic and modern modes. The classic mode provides faithful reproductions of the original Game & Watch games, while the modern mode reimagines these games with a fresh visual style using characters from the Super Mario Bros. Series. Additionally, there are 9 games that are available exclusively in classic mode. The game also introduces multiplayer capabilities for titles like Boxing and Donkey Kong 3, adding a new dimension to the classic gameplay. This one was well received for its successful blend of nostalgia and innovation. The inclusion of both classic and modern modes was praised, as it catered to both purists and new fans. The multiplayer feature was a welcome addition, enhancing the overall gaming experience. Marvelous verdict. As our journey through the vibrant world of the Game Boy Advance comes to a close, we're left with a nostalgic echo of the beeps and chimes that defined a gaming era. From the gothic realms of Castlevania to the strategic battlegrounds of Advance Wars, each game we explored is a testament to the creativity and innovation of this beloved handheld console. We've revisited classics, unearthed hidden gems, and celebrated the titles that made the GBA a legend in the world of gaming. Whether you're a seasoned gamer reliving cherished memories or a new enthusiast discovering these treasures for the first time, the Game Boy Advance's library is a timeless collection that continues to inspire and entertain. So, as we power down our consoles and step back into the present, let's carry with us the spirit of adventure and the joy of gaming that the Game Boy Advance so brilliantly encapsulated. Until next time, keep gaming and keep exploring the rich history of this extraordinary world of handheld gaming.